It's happening. The White Sox traded Garrett Crochet. They traded a left-handed ace to the Red Sox. What is it, 2016? It's a CHGO White Sox podcast. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast. This emergency podcast is brought to you by Indeed. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ALLCITY. That's Indeed.com/ALLCITY. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. It is happening. The Chicago White Sox have traded Garrett Crochet to the Boston Red Sox, going down at the winter meetings today as the Rule 5 starts. Chris Getz is a very busy man, but this is being reported from Ken Rosenthal. It's being reported from Jeff Passan. We feel like we have the full scope of the idea. If we don't, we'll figure it out along the way. I'm Sean Anderson. Alongside me, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
Our CHGO White Sox community leader. We appreciate Sarah, our producer, for getting us up and ready as soon as possible. It just happened at 12:57. So if you're just getting in here, you're just finding out about it, you're not missing much. We're learning about it on the fly. Vinnie might join us. He's down at the winter meetings, but he was getting ready to talk to Chris Getz about the Rule 5 draft. That's going to be the 4 p.m. show. So we got 2 CHGO White Sox shows for you. If you do want to become a diehard, hit allchgo.com/diehard up. You get to join our diehard Discord. There's a ton of comments flowing in as well. Blue Dan says a haul. Connor says wow. And D-Rod says the Sox are obsessed with catchers. Herb, before we get into the grade, finally, oh God, thank God we don't have to talk more about Garrett Crochet being traded. I wish they were extending him, but I accepted that fate a long time ago. I'm happy we get to talk about a trade finally.
Yeah, some finality to that saga that we had for months now. I mean, we had the trade deadline whole saga where Garrett Crochet demanded that he get an extension before he get traded to some other team. And now having finality of him actually going to a team that I was, there's been rumors, but the rumors were underwhelming. I don't know a lot about these players, but just by pure rankings, let's go.
Yeah,
let's effing go. Like I've talked about yesterday, how I thought that Chris Getz more than likely has lost on his trade so far than won. The Dylan Cease trade being a win for him. This on first blush looks like a win.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we talked about this deal being headlined by bats. The reason why I gave the Cease trade a B- was because the only bat you end up getting was Zavala, who's a 19-year-old that has a small frame, and it's tough to project him to be a major leaguer, and he struggled in his first year in a Chicago organization. Thorpe and Iriarte are interesting, but as we saw with Iriarte, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be out of the bullpen? Still a lot of command issues. I mean, Thorpe, he ran into elbow issues. Fun, but I think there's a lot of ways to look at this. Especially with the Boston trade, I really wanted Campbell, Mayer, or Anthony. It seemed Anthony was completely untouchable. It seemed like they talked and discussed Campbell, and it seemed like Campbell became untouchable. And then I think about 2 days ago, Morosi comes out and says Marcelo Mayer is available. And now you have to look at it. Why did that report come out? And why is Mayer not in this deal? It has to be you were going to get Mayer and then probably 2 prospects outside of the top 10. Maybe you could have gotten Winkelman Gonzalez, but here's the full package. You end up getting Kyle Teel, catcher, Braden Montgomery, infielder Chase Meredith, and right-hander Winkelman Gonzalez. Sorry if I feel flustered, but it is exciting because Teel and Montgomery are the past first-round draft picks, or the past 2 first-round draft picks for the Red Sox. I would have liked Montgomery as the 5th pick for the White Sox in 2024. They end up going with Hagen Smith. So, hey, you end up getting a 2-for-1. It's an exciting deal because I think that Getz ended up getting depth. It's realistic. I think it seems like Campbell, Mayer, and Anthony played themselves out of discussion. It seems like if you are a top 20 prospect, teams aren't going to trade you. And I think this also just comes down to Corbin Burns. Max Fried signed with the Yankees. It's possible Corbin Burns could have gone somewhere else. The Red Sox are in the discussion, but hey, we don't want to miss out on a pitcher. If we miss out on Burns, the White Sox know that they're going to have us in a pinch. Let's get this deal done. 2 top 5 prospects that are bats. You get a third bat and then a top 20 pitcher. I think it's probably a B, but I also could probably talk myself into this being an A minus. I don't think this is bad.
Yeah, and I know why people are already looking at Teel and they're like, oh, it's a catcher? Where are we getting another catcher? We already got a catcher. As I always say with shortstops, get as many as you can because they can always move. And give me a guy that can hit, and it looks like Kyle Teel can hit his ass off. And like you were saying with Braden Montgomery, when we were doing our previews for the MLB amateur draft, I would have loved to have Braden Montgomery at the time over Hagen Smith. And because I thought that he actually had a proven track record of playing in 2 of the toughest conferences in college baseball in the Pac-12 and in the SEC, and did well there. He got hurt late in his SEC career with A&M, but he put up some numbers there. And so very exciting times for the White Sox. I think they got exactly what they wanted, the 3 bats, as you explained, and then toss in the Winkelman. Like,
yeah.
That name's awesome. And we had Mitchell Winkelman in the thing. I was like, you know what? He's like, he wanted Robert from Mayer. It's like, it's not going to happen. But his namesake is coming back to the White Sox, though.
Yeah, when we love namesakes. All right, let's jump into the package. Also, I feel like Herb is breaking up. I don't know if that's on my end or Herb's end. Sarah, let us know in the chat if someone needs to leave the StreamYard or not. Let's talk about the package. Teel is the, I guess, headliner. You could say Montgomery is the headliner. There isn't really a headliner when prospects are 4th and 5th like this. They're both similar of age. Teal's a catcher, but people talk about his athleticism, so I don't think you could box him into a catcher only. Caro and Teel could be part of a what's it called? A platoon? Not a platoon. What's the catcher platoon called? I feel like it.
Yeah.
Handcuff? No, I don't know. Anyways, they could be a part of a catcher platoon and spelling each other. But I could see Teel ending up also playing maybe left field. It seems like maybe this is a little bit too selling him high on his defense, but I think he's got some Dalton Varsho-esque athleticism, the way that I'm reading about it. A guy that can play catcher, but I don't think it's crazy enough to say that he could be an outfielder as well. Most of his time in 2023 and 2024 is as a catcher, but there were some appearances, from what I understand, from him in outfield at Virginia. So I don't think it's crazy enough to say that he could play outfield if it ends up being a major league situation where Caro is just the best catcher and you're trying to get Teel some playing time. But Teel has made it up to AAA. He played in Worcester for 28 games, but mainly played in Portland and AA last year with the Red Sox, and 84 games in Portland AA, 299, 390, and a 460 slug.
That works.
28 games with AAA, 255. 374 and 343. We love anyone who gets on base. And I think it's, fair to give the guy a little bit of a break with the 4-year difference. He still hit 255. The pop wasn't there, but you've seen pop throughout the main part of his at least major league career-ish. Actually, that's not true. He did hit 13 home runs in Virginia. I'm literally learning just about this player right now. And then in 2023, 26 games, only 2 home runs, but the slugging was 495 in those 26 games spread out between Advanced A and AA. So I don't think that Teel is going to be on the major league roster, but I wouldn't put it out of consideration. At least out of the 4 that they just got, it seems like Teel is the closest to MLB ready. I think you could definitely see Teel in 2025. I don't know if it is exactly on the opening day roster, but I think that Teel could be somewhat major league ready. Braden Montgomery's 21, again, drafted in the first round, 12th pick in 2024 out of Texas A&M. He is an outfielder, $5 million bonus for him. Started at Stanford, then moved to Texas A&M. He was dealing with a broken leg, though, and that's what made him fall. He has not played any minor league games. So this is a buy low candidate in a way. You're buying low a top 10 prospect. That part's very interesting, because if Montgomery played any games and flashed at all in the minor league level, wherever he played in Boston, he could possibly be their 4th prospect over Teel already. So at least the top 2 are exciting. So I got to give Getz a round of applause here.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get the entry by Braden Montgomery because I think he was sliding into home while trying to score for Texas A&M. I think he is a top 5 pick even before the White Sox get to him last year's draft and 2024's draft. And so it's kind of like a blessing in disguise that firstly the White Sox got Hagen Smith when they did, and now they can go and get a player that obviously they coveted and is a top 10 talent, even though he hasn't played in the minor leagues, and he's 54th already in major league prospect listing. So I think the kid is just if I had to judge this, I would say that he is more the player that I'm excited for than the Teel kid, because the athleticism is just off the charts, and he hit his way down there in SEC and at Stanford when he was in the Pac-12 early in his career.
Mercy. And according to SoxProspects.com, Meredith, the third player they got, is in the top 10. He's the 8th overall prospect, 5'9", 170. He's 23 years old, 4th rounder in 2022. He was out of Mira Costa, San Diego. The summation on him is potential bench player who brings solid contact skills and some defensive versatility. Ceiling of a contact-oriented regular at second base, will always have to hit, but has shown strong contact skills and advanced approach. Needs to show he can impact the baseball, or advanced arms will challenge him since they know he is unlikely to make them pay. Combination of age, contact skills, and approach grade out real well on their models. He did play in Worcester, 122 games last year, and he hit 293 and an on-base percentage of 437 and a slugging percentage of 400. So, hey, that plays. I don't know exactly what position he plays. They say infielder. I mean, this could be our starting
Nick
shortstop.
Madrigal. Yeah, Nick Madrigal. That's
I mean,
when you said 5'9", 170, it's like Nick Madrigal's coming back. I'll take Nick Madrigal in a trade as a third piece of a trade. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you could play defense like that would be nice. And also, I don't know. It's my Droth. My bad on that. The pronunciation is my Droth, according to Baseball Reference. So yeah, hey, he was the second baseman, third baseman, shortstop in Worcester, played 412 innings at shortstop. So possibly your 2025 opening day shortstop. Hi, Vinny. I see you. You are now joining us.
Come on, man. I'm down here in Dallas, and you're talking about guys in single A. Let's go.
What are you talking? These are what we're going to be watching in 2025. All right, Vinnie Duber joining us from the winter meetings in Dallas. Let's get your thoughts before the break. What do you make of Chris Getz's deal here so far? Of course, I'm going to be focusing on the future White Sox. Garrett Crochet sucks. Get him out of here. He's going to be broken down and washed in 2025. Boo!
Big deal, huh? Yeah, obviously the reports have given the White Sox a pretty huge return package. And I think the main thing that jumps out to me is what we've been talking about for a while now, comparing it to what he got for Dylan Cease in March, right? And that was something that I thought was going to set expectations for this deal. If the expectation was, a Drew Thorpe level prospect and a couple other guys, man, this blows that out of the water, right? I mean, you're talking about 2 top 50 something prospects on the big list, on the big one, top 100, and then a couple other guys who are well regarded within what is a very, very deep Boston farm system. So that's another thing to remember here is you see, the 4 and the 5 are big numbers, but some folks might be disappointed that they didn't get the top guys. When you talk about the number 11 and the number 14 in a farm system like Boston's, that is a much bigger deal than it would be in a lot of other farm systems. So it sure looks like Chris Getz, who obviously hasn't talked to us about this yet down here in Dallas, it sure looks like Chris Getz got a really, really good prospect haul for Garrett Crochet, the kind of haul and the kind of trade that White Sox fans remember from when Rick Hahn started the last rebuild, right? That kind of prospect package is what's coming back here to the White Sox. So definitely exceeded my expectations probably for what Chris Getz could get in a trade like this, given that I was setting my expectations based on what he got for Dylan Cease. But this is much bigger than that and should have White Sox fans excited for the future.
Just real quick, let's hit some comments and then we'll hit a break. Mario Smith saying they had zero interest in what the Mets were offering Luis Angel Acuna and prospects not good enough. I was interested in Acuna, but it didn't seem like they had like a very interesting like guy that could be a star for the White Sox. And maybe Acuna could be that, but Jet Williams is like 5'6". Braden Montgomery, yes, he might start at Advance A, but he could be a player, switch hitting player that could just be a dominant outfielder, both, a 5-tool player for them for years to come. I'm excited about that. Also, thank you to Kevin Wells and Scott Walker for saying battery, catcher battery. Could not think of that word to think of, and appreciate Kevin Steele for producing me by saying, why are you so close to the camera? I'll back up. We got more on the Garrett Crochet trade to Boston right after a break. Herb, tell us about Leinenkugel.
The weather's getting cooler, but you don't have to give up your summertime mindset and favorite summertime beers. Leinenkugel's Summer Shandy is now available year-round. It is the perfect companion for any time of the year. I just went to Wrigley a couple weeks ago for the Illinois Northwestern game, got myself a Leinenkugel Summer Shandy because I wanted to feel like I'm in a baseball stadium. Might as well feel like it's summer, even though it was below freezing temperatures that day. For over 150 years, Leinenkugel has combined German brewing traditions and Wisconsin innovation. Don't have to just pick one. Leinenkugel has popular variety packs that come in 4 favorites for you to try and enjoy. Flavor every moment with Leinenkugels, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Leine.com/CHGO to find the delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO. Or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes. And Herb, I know we're doing an emergency podcast here, but I got to tell you about ComEd, because did you know that ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient?
What? I did not know that. I'm glad that you are telling me that currently.
You got it, big dog. The energy efficiency program can help you find up to 35% in energy savings.
Word? So what do I or a business have to do to get that?
Word, dog. Just sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
So if it's this easy, why aren't more businesses doing it?
Maybe they forgot the website. Herb, do you want to say it together?
Yes.
ComEd.com/biz.
ComEd.com/biz. It's not working out. ComEd.com/biz. ComEd.com/biz.
All right. Terms and conditions apply.
ComEd.com/biz.
Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law. Let's talk more about the White Sox and this trade that just happened. Vinny is in Dallas. We have a show at 4 p.m. All right. So if you want more White Sox talk, you're going to get it. Vinny is going to talk to Chris Getz. They're going to talk about Shane Smith, the newest White Sox pitcher that they take 1-1 in the Rule 5 draft. I'm thrilled to talk about Shane Smith. We're going to try to squeeze him in. But yeah, we have a huge trade to talk about. Thank you to Kevin Steele for the $10 super chat. What does this say about Edgar Caro? Also, is Robert next? What I will say about Caro is that it never hurts to have major league catchers. It is not a bad problem to have 2 catchers that are able to play that position, and nothing, I think it says nothing about Caro, the player. Caro had a back injury, but he proved so well at every single level. They seem to be thrilled about Caro, and if they could have 2, top 10 catchers, that's a luxury. Something that then you're dealing from a place of, of strength. If Teel ends up even being a catcher, maybe it says more about Teel that they think Teel could be a possible first base outfielder, whatever have you. And then also Kevin Steele says, is Robert next? If they find a suitor, but as we saw with Chris Getz here, Vin, I think they really waited for the right moment. And you see the rumors that may or might possibly be out. And we heard a ton about Wilyer Abreu or Tristan Casas. They said, we don't want any player that's made their major league debut. So stop bringing up Wilyer Abreu, stop bringing up Tristan Casas. And then with Marcell Omer, I think the biggest thing is that was 3 drafts ago. Kyle Teel was just 2 drafts ago. Braden Montgomery was just this year. They got players as close to their, or as furthest away from their debut, I think, as possible, which I think seemed to be Chris Getz's idea or MO here.
Absolutely. I mean, we keep talking about a long-term rebuilding project going on under Chris Getz's watch on the South Side. And while he did describe the other day a big move like this, whether it was Crochet or Robert, as being able to maybe accelerate the rebuild that he's got going on, I think he was totally focused on guys who will be part of this for the long haul. And guys like Edgar Caro and Colson Montgomery, they fall into that category as well. They haven't made their major league debut yet. The proverbial clock is not yet ticking on them. But I think when you look at the prospect package that he got back, it's all about the future. And it's okay if Kyle Teel doesn't make his major league debut in 2025, right? If he just arrived at AAA last year, it's okay, obviously, if Braden Montgomery isn't there right away this year. He, like you said, was just drafted this summer. So I think there are guys now that finally White Sox fans can look a little ahead to the future and say, okay, can plug that guy into this position, that guy into this position. But yeah, it's definitely about that long term. Abreu, Casas, we would be asking the same questions had a player like that arrived in this part of the trade. We'd be asking the same questions that we are about Luis Robert Jr., about Andrew Vaughn. Is that timeline going to line up with when the White Sox are thinking about contending again? I think a trade like today helps the White Sox contend sooner rather than later, if that makes sense, but it doesn't mean it's going to be soon. So to answer the question that was asked, I don't think Luis Robert Jr. is going to be traded this winter, but I also thought that there would maybe be a longer waiting period on Crochet. I think the reason you saw that come together now is the Boston Red Sox failing to get Juan Soto, the Boston Red Sox failing to get Max Fried, and saying, hey, we need to make a big splash. We came to the winter meetings to make a big splash. It didn't work out, even though we were there to the end on both those guys. All right, time to part with some of the prospects. They were able to do that without giving up their 3 top prospects in their organization. So I'm sure the folks in Boston are going crazy right now over what their setup is moving forward. But for the White Sox, it sure looks like Chris Getz, like you said, made the right timing decision on this, with some of the free agent names coming off the board and with some of the money really being allocated by some of the other teams.
I just want to step back, and while we don't necessarily know how these players will do in the future, I like to judge the trades by how we feel and how they suss out at the time of the trade. Boston is arguably top 5 farm system. Can we all agree on that? And the Whites,
Yeah,
the White Sox well, go ahead.
It seemed like they wanted to make a trade with either the Red Sox or Orioles, just to jump in here, and then there was a report, I think about 2 days ago, somewhere in Baltimore, that the Orioles are completely out on Crochet. So not only was it a top 5 prospect or a top 5 potential crop that they're dealing with, it's also possibly the only top 5 team that they're dealing with. So this is not only dealing in a somewhat limited market of dealing from the cream of the crop, but also you are getting 2 players that are really intriguing. I mean, I'm reading more about Teel right now. They think he could play second base. I mean, he could be a catcher or a second baseman. Let's go.
Craig Biggio style. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, he's the 4th ranked prospect in their system. The 5th is Braden Montgomery. You got the 11th and then the 14th. Like, they got a real good haul from a really good farm system. And this is peer reviewed, and everybody agrees that these people should be in the spots that they are in. If you go to different places, they have rankings on the tiers that these prospects are coming from. And if you go by the tiers that I think Baseball America goes by, or the Bleacher Report goes by, there's 2 first round or two tier 1 prospect returns in the first 2 guys in Teel and Montgomery. And think about this too. As I wanted to, White Sox now have 2 Bradens and 2 Montgomerys. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how long Shoemaker is gonna have left in the tooth here, but hopefully that stays true.
And seriously, bring the shirts. Montgomery Ward. We did it here first. CHGO Montgomery Ward.
Who's Ward?
We get Montgomery Ward's. Montgomery Ward's the old shopping place, the old retail store, and we have 2 Montgomerys. So this place would be called the Montgomery Ward.
All right. Well, hit up D-line. All right. Ryan also throwing out a $2 super chat. Appreciate you, Ryan, saying Vinny hitting up Medieval Times to celebrate. Is this true? Is there a Ferris wheel you need to ride?
There's a lot of Ferris. I've seen multiple Ferris wheels in just within walking distance of this hotel. There's one out in the parking lot, and then there's another one down the way at the barbecue place that I went to last night. So there's Ferris wheels all over the place.
All right. I'll ask you about that later. All right. Real quick, Weasel saying, why are people so enamored with Caro that Teel is a bad return? Teal's a next level catcher. Honestly, the more and more I sit with here, I think this is exactly what Chris. I think I gave it a B. I'm changing it to an A. There's no reason for me to be a grump. I think this is exactly what they needed, because the one thing too about Montgomery is he seems athletic enough that he could be a left fielder, center fielder, right fielder. So there's no pigeonhole. Just whenever he's ready to hit, he'll be able to jump into your lineup. Seems the same with Teel. I also, let's not overlook Walker McKinven being down in the winter meetings. And I know all of you hated on us for playing him yesterday, but hey, he loves hard things. And you know what makes things easier? Kyle Teel. This guy is apparently a super athletic catcher, already a great framer. I mean, we talk about the ability of stealing runs with catchers. I'm interested to see what the White Sox can do. Michael Leroy saying that trade won't help for 2025. Oh, well, as we said, and as we've realized, they're going to be actually in the MLB draft lottery at the winter meetings next year. So they're going to have to be bad. They want a 22% chance of getting the best pick possible. And this is a team that has like $64 million spent already. They just added Shane Smith, who's going to be another minimum contract. Chris Getz deserves a chance to get a top pick, especially with the chance of, them rooting out all of this bad information and getting more in to their coaches. So I think that this was his best deal yet. I know that's very reactionary, but since we talked about this so much, and this was a little bit more focused and consistent than the Cease talks. I think just following this, I think this is some of the best work that Getz could have done possibly. Anything else that we need to throw out there? I know obviously we're going to have a show at 4. We're going to be talking about the Rule 5 draft. Are you going to ask Chris Getz about this, Vinnie? Obviously.
Yeah. We're going to be talking very minimally about the Rule 5 draft. Because the biggest news of the White Sox offseason just happened, and we're going to hear from the general manager later today.
I put Shane Smith in the bullpen. I gotta figure out if he's a starter or if he's a bullpen guy. Because I could see, he's obviously got some length to him, but it does seem like he doesn't have the highest velocity. Maybe you kick him to the bullpen. They're able to get a minimum. Anyways, ask Chris Getz about that later. See what Brian Bannister had to say about that one. But yeah, I think at least one more thing. We didn't talk a ton about Meredith. Chase Meredith could be possibly the starting shortstop for the White Sox come opening day. James Coogan asking that. Meredith is 23 now. He just turned 23 in July. Was a 4th-round pick out of the University of San Diego. And it's Mydroth. I got to be there, right? Chase Mydroth. Again, it seems like he can get on base and seems like he can at least slap the ball a little bit. So could he be a bat that hits, 265, 270, gets on base at like a 350 clip and plays all right defense? We hope so.
Yeah, and I think also this trade kind of piques my interest. Somebody was asking, do you think Robert gets traded this offseason? I know Vinny said probably no, but I'm thinking the fact that this got done so quickly, you can turn the tables and turn the attention to maybe getting and shopping Robert, because I know that they would love to have that money off of their books. Only it's $15 million, not want to gamble on Luis Robert regaining his 2023 form. But I'm looking forward to whatever Chris Getz does now, because this trade, I think, was, as you said, his best trade he's done so far.
Yeah, it's intriguing. And it seems like you have a spot because, Mydroth seems like he can either play short, third, or second base. And then, Winkelman is the last piece of here. He is on the 40-man, which I do find interesting. I don't think Mydroth is. I don't think Montgomery or Teel are. So Gonzalez is on the 40-man, which I think Smith would have made it 38 and Winkelman makes it 39.
I love, Sean, how you're just calling these guys whatever you want.
What?
You're adding an N to this guy's name. You're calling the other guy Chase Meredith. Come on, man.
I'm just learning them. It's Mydroth. I got that right. Well, how
There's
am I
no
butchering?
N. It's not Winkelman. It's Winkelman.
Weikelman. Okay.
Something like
this is just, I don't know how to read. I need to go back to school and read. So he offers a fastball, curveball, changeup, and cutter. SoxProspects.com describes him as having an undersized frame, sturdy lower half with marginal remaining projection in his upper body. He's not that tall, looks heavier than his listed weight, and his athleticism has slightly decreased as he's physically matured. The fastball sits 94-96, tops out at 97 miles per hour. The curveball 77 to 80 miles per hour. The changeup 86 to 88 with deceptive arm speed, and then the cutters 86 to 88. He was the opening day starter in the DSL in 2019, and then had a breakout season in 2021 with a strong showing in the FCL and low A. And then he struggled at times in 2024. On multiple occasions, the organization had him throw shorter outings in a piggyback or true relief role. So maybe this is just a relief arm. And with him being on the 40-man, maybe this is a guy that you potentially see coming up in April or even May to see if he's got anything. And if not, maybe they end up cutting him. But it does seem like it's the 3 big of Montgomery, Teel, and Mydroff. And it does seem like there's a true headliner. And you can have your pick, whether it be Teel or Montgomery. You're more excited about Montgomery. I'd like to see him play baseball. It's exciting that Teel's at least at the AAA level already. So it seems like it's possible opening day you could see a battery of Caro and Teel. We'll have our final thoughts here, and then obviously we have a show at 4 p.m. that we'll be getting ready for, where we'll have sound from Chris Getz, thoughts on Shane Smith, and more reaction to the Garrett Crochet trade. Let's take a break. We want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. They're here to elevate your winter. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit, and you can stop into the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or Floracal. And available now, good news is LTO Island Vibes. They're available in disposable vapes, 510 carts, and live resin gummies. And already launched back in November, and it's running through the end of the year. You can get Sunnyside Scratch and Stash. It's back again for the holiday season. Receive a scratch off every time you shop, now through December 31st or while supplies last. Every card is a winner. You could win big, like 50% off or $100 off your next purchase. Hurry in today to see what you win. Head over to sunnyside.shop to pre-order bright buys every day over at sunnyside.shop, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Again, final summations. I think it's easy to put this, just stamp on it. Chris Getz was looking for bats. He got 3 to start this off, and I think it's tough to say that he did a bad job looking at this. He wanted bats. He got 3 bats to headline this. I think it's a good job by Chris Getz here.
Me also, I think that, yeah, he did his research. He waited out his the prospects and probably told the people, like, hey, let's go before we leave this Dallas hotel and have somebody in hand. And unlike the Dylan Cease trade, where people, I think, for the most part, were like half and half, I think for the majority of the people I'm looking on Twitter and Blue Sky, those people are just like, yes, this is a great trade for Chris Getz. So the consensus is this is a great trade for the White Sox. So White Sox fans should be happy that your GM's doing a good job, and it's a first major trade in this offseason.
Yeah, I mean the return is definitely big in terms of the profile of the prospects, the caliber of the prospects that are coming back to the White Sox. This was a team that, while they were confident in the depth they had on the pitching side, Sean, you mentioned it, looking for bats. You couldn't really project out a full lineup of the future, or much of one at all, really, to be honest, with the guys that they had in their farm system. That changes after this trade, and I think that Chris Getz is setting up this team for a better future than it looked like they had yesterday, right? That being said, White Sox fans, you've been through this before. It's easy to get the prospects in here sometimes. Sometimes it's not so easy. But today, Chris Getz brought the prospects in. Now these guys have to hit in the player development part, in the staying healthy part, right? And in the coming together as a team part. Chris Getz has put a lot of money or a lot of effort, rather, into trying to shore up everything behind the scenes, whether it's player development or with the new manager and Will Venable. The resources seem to be there. Now they've got the raw materials. Turn it in. The job now is to turn it into something that is a lot better than where they got the last time this rebuild went down just a few years ago.
And again, this is a completely different organization developing them. Obviously, the jersey's still the same. It's still 125 years. We'll be celebrating this soon. And you're right, CJ, that you have to develop them, and they're in great places right now. All of these guys currently get on base. And if they stop getting on base, I could say, hey, it's the White Sox stink. But you have to believe in Ryan Fuller. You have to believe in Chris Getz. You have to believe in Brian Bannister. There's a reason this change was made. I believe it's because Chris Getz kind of, put himself out there to Jerry Reinsdorf saying, I can do this job. I know what needs to change. He went on MLB Network and says, hey, we've spent our offseason worrying about our infrastructure, and that's top to bottom, minor league, major league, even to spring training. It seems like they are trying to read out the rot here. And you just have to trust that they're going to be able to do that. And man, do they have the prospects to do that now. This is going off of Baseball America's Top 100 from September. They have the 9th prospect in baseball, Noah Schultz. They have the 25th prospect in baseball now with Kyle Teel. They have the 38th prospect in baseball in Colson Montgomery. They have the 49th prospect in baseball in Hagen Smith. They have the 59th prospect in baseball in Braden Montgomery. They have the 67th prospect in baseball in Drew Thorpe. They have the 78th prospect in baseball in Edgar Caro. And man, I might be more excited about Caro than, three of those guys above him. So this is a great time to be a White Sox fan because you know what? It's only up from here, folks. If you just weren't paying attention from anything December 10th before, man, that sucked. But December 11th, 2025 to everything here on out, I can only expect it to be gravy, right?
Yeah, you even got me more excited than I was before, Sean. Man,
let's go.
Mercy. What was that? Six players in the top 100? Goodness gracious. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And yes, it's just, and I know, as you were just alluding to, I know people are going to say left-handed power starter traded to Boston for top prospects, been here before. Got it. Different guy, different infrastructure, different way of bringing up players. And we're putting a lot of faith in Ryan Fuller and Chris Getz. But what else can we do? Just bitch and moan and put our head down and say that they're not going to get them? No, how about we put some positivity out there and say that these players might come through and the White Sox are doing the right things by these players. And I think that, I truly believe that, not just saying it just to put some manifesting out there. I truly believe that Chris Getz might have got his job in a bad way, but what he's doing right now, I feel that he's doing the right thing by the White Sox and White Sox fans.
Leonard, I'm more of a Sunnyside guy than a Line and Kugel guy. Love all of our sponsors, but just throwing that out there. No expert saying, aren't we likely to set another loss record next year while waiting for these top prospects to be ready? They're not top prospects. They are top prospects. It's not like the baseball scouts have said that these are the best players. So it's not like we're making this stuff up. But that was my question yesterday. Chris Getz said that last year was unacceptable, and I laughed at that. But again, I have to realize that it is unprecedented what this team did last year, going 41 and 121. And if you look at the gap between how many runs they scored compared to the 29th team, it's about 100 runs. It's like 94 runs, I think, to be exact. They're not going to be that putrid on offense. You just have to think so, because they're trying to get on base more. Two guys that they just signed in Slater and Tauchman get on base. Mydroth has 105 walks to 91 strikeouts in AAA. Like, it does seem that they are trying to be more focused on getting on base, at least flooding the bases. So when they have someone on, maybe a hit drives them in and they could win some of these closer one-run games. Pedro Grifol said he did love one-run games. We saw how that turned out for him. But I think that this is something that you just have to trust. And if you don't want to trust it, oh, well, wait until they get good and don't watch baseball for 2 years, because that's just the state of the franchise. And to bring up the Sale trade, because it feels very poignant that 8 years later, not exactly to the date, but about 5 days after, Chris Sale is traded to the Boston. Garrett Crochet is traded to Boston. Someone said that the Sale trade was a bust. I don't think that's true. Again, I would say that it's not a bust for either team. The Red Sox win the World Series, and Yoan Moncada ended up getting $75 million. Michael Kopech was given time to start. It's not like these guys never made it to the majors. It's not like they had unfruitful careers. Michael Kopech just won a ring in LA with all of his talent. Yoan Moncada might be playing third base for the Toronto Blue Jays. It's not like these guys completely stalled out. They're still Major League Baseball players. It's the issue of the front office not developing them and getting them to the place that they needed to be. That front office is gone. So I just don't get it. And also with Kopech, the trade tree is not done. Gerald Perez or Albertus might be a dominant player for the White Sox and will rub it right in your face. But I'm excited. I think this is a good day for the Chicago White Sox. I think this is what they needed from a trade like this. I would have been more in favor with keeping Crochet, but I'm not complaining about 7 top 80 prospects. It's not awful.
That works.
That works. All right. Let us know your thoughts at 4 p.m. Vinny is going to go harass Chris Getz with questions about Shane Smith and maybe this Garrett Crochet news. Vinny, anything else down there from Dallas, or you want to save it for 4?
Oh boy, wait, more breaking. Mike Tauchman deal is official. There you go.
Oh, all right. Hey, Sarah, can you start up a new emergency podcast?
What are we doing here?
Do we have a sponsor for that? All right. Anyways, that's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. I believe you published something. Did you?
Working on it. Okay.
Vinny's working on it. So you can obviously check that out at allchgo.com. And if you are not a member of our Die Hard program, check out allchgo.com/diehard. You could jump into the Discord and chat about this deal and all the prospects and watch all the tape and see what people are talking about in our Discord. We're building the biggest community of Chicago sports fans. We want you to be a part of it. So head over to allchgo.com. You get access to that Discord. You get access to Vinny's writing. You get access to discounts on events and merch. So it's a good time to sign up today. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be live at 4 p.m. with sound from Chris Getz about this Garrett Crochet deal. And we'll talk about the newest White Sox pitcher in Shane Smith. Maybe more about the Garrett Crochet deal. Probably a lot about the Garrett Crochet deal. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.